I'm sorry, I didn't know we had been weren't communicating. We had been disconnected. I was explaining. I don't know whether you got the explanation I was trying to put forward for the explanation. I said if we have the screen this way, the screen is meant to be this way to prevent the natural dispersion of the light. We should have our theme here and our screen here. This is the configuration for mammography, which uses a single film, single screen and system. Because when X-ray photons are not sensitive to film, they're not sensitive to film. So, but they are sensitive to the screen. So the screen interacts. Immediately they get to this interface, they begin to give up light because most of them will interact at the surface. They don't travel so much that though some will still travel now, or most of them will interact at the surface here and begin to affect the film here. But if you put it the other way around, you put your film here. Of course, let me explain from this way. Assuming you are coming from here, that's what we affect the photographic and the screen here. Immediately it affects the screen here. It interacts with the screen here. Of course, then you need to have a light and factorial dispersion of light. Light will be produced here asymptotically in so many directions, and then they begin to disperse. As they disperse, to affect this photographic film, you can see that we have already introduced a lateral dispersion of light, which is not good for what we want to use it for. Mammography, a very, very sensitive modality that seeks to differentiate abnormalities in the breast and tissue, which have very, very close contrast. So we have, I hope we can still continue.
Yes, I will still have about 70 minutes.
Okay. So that is that about some of these stuff we need to. Then want to look at some film and characteristics, the composition of film. Let's see. Apart, we have we want to now look at we've been talking about the screen, all this why, but we want to look at the film characteristics. Want to go film. Film is actually the part of the screen film system that light falls on and the image is registered. Immediately you have the film, the cassette which closes the film screen system, and then you have expose a patient. Immediately you have the film captures and that, and then stores it as a latent image. If you bring a film that has been exposed and then a film that has not been exposed, you can't see any difference. You will never be able to see any difference because the image there, the image in the one that has been exposed is latent. You can never. It is only when one goes to the dark room to develop this and film that it will now come out as what we have actually taken. So generally, if you have anything that has developed, you will be able to see anything. So the function of the film is actually to produce the image that has been taken. And of course, the major component of the film is silver hairline. Silver hairline. Silver hairline. The halide can actually be from any of the halogen family, or more specifically, silver, silver iodide. And at times, you can also add bromine to it and to give us silver bromide. So when light falls on this, the silver halide inside the film, silver will be produced. We have silver will be produced. A chemical have this silver halide, silver plus iodine, blah blah blah. We're going to have so we are going to have some sites inside the film that will begin to accumulate these silver ions. And at the end of the day, when you now take the film to the processing and to the processor inside the dark room, etc., this one will be developed. So this is just the a bit tool we have to know about it. When it comes to film processing, I'm going to talk more on that. But for now, let's just have it that the film is actually composed of grains of silver halide. Then our depends on the modality we are using. Whether we're going to have a very fine grains of silver halide, we're going to have some bit rough grains of silver halide. I think we should have one. Let's see if we can have something. Okay, we actually saw it before, but no need. Just don't waste so much time here. So we have a very important term I have been using for a very long time, optical density, OD. Optical density is a term that we use to describe the darkening of film. How much is a film darkened? The amount of darkening of the film is described in terms of this word, optical density. So if you have a film that is not so properly exposed, you're going to have a low OD. But one that has been properly exposed, you're going to have a high OD. But the one that has been overexposed, you're going to have a very high OD value attached them to it. Optical density is the term which we have been using, which we continue to use for a very long time, to describe how much darkening a film has been affected, or how much darkening a film has known or has been exposed to by a particular exposure. So we actually can measure all OD with the densitometer. Is the so densitometer. It's actually an equipment we use to measure the intensity, the optical density of the film. All we need to do is to shine. It's just like a kind of a lamp. On the lamp this way that has some slits. You just place maybe you have exposed the film. You just place the film here and shine light to it. The system is going to give us the optical density of that film that has been exposed. So that is done using a densitometer. So before I want to look at transmittance. In defining densitometer, there are some things we need to get transmittance of light. Transmittance. Actually defined as light intensity . Transmittance is actually the light intensity. If you want to measure the light intensity at a particular, because this is the formula, this is the equation that is used by the densitometer in calculating the optical density. I'm going to relate it with optical density. Transmittance is I over I naught. I is the light at a particular point without film. You have a light, you also use the densitometer, you a light, I'm sorry, I hope I'm not mixing them. Light intensity at a point with the film. Okay, this is the light intensity at a particular point in the, or maybe in the film or in the radiograph without with the film in position. Whereas this is not without at the film. This is what I mean. You have a particular film that has been exposed. You want to know the transmittance. All you need to do is you take the densitometer, you remove the film, you measure the light intensity. That densitometer is giving you the light intensity densitometer, which we can call the base. You measure it, you record it. Then you bring the film, you place it on the slot for film. You also measure the light intensity. That light intensity is I. So I is that with film. I naught is the light intensity without film. At the end of the day, the value we have is called the transmittance. So that is going to give us the transmittance. Then from the transmittance, we are going to have our optical density, which is the negative logarithm of I. So negative. So if you have the negative logarithm of this, that gives us our optical density. So what we measure in optical density is actually the negative logarithm of the transmittance. So you can say it is simply minus log of transmittance. Let's give transmittance T. So our transmittance is T. So it is this is T. So it is the negative logarithm of our transmittance. Of course, we did we did some chemistry to an extent. We saw that this is similar to the hydrogen ion, what's it called? The pH of any substance, of any liquid, to measure the potential hydrogen ion concentration. It's similar to that. pH is, I think, the negative logarithm of the hydrogen ion concentration in a solution. So we have that log, the optical density is just the negative logarithm of this. And mathematics, blah, 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 and do some, of course, questions come from this, and then it's good for us to know the relationship. Have our OZ. Can just say our OZ is it is still, of course, negative log P is something as log P raised to power minus 1. At the end of the day, you can have that to be log, instead of I over I naught, I'm going to have I naught over I. The same thing. The inverse of the transmittance. So optical density is actually this. I think, okay, we still have a little more time. And again, it is the natural logarithm, not the, I mean, it is the natural, sorry, it is the common logarithm, not natural logarithm. You have the natural logarithm, like u to base 2. For this time around, it is to base 10, which is like the common logarithm. So optical density is this, and that is what the densitometer helps us to calculate whenever we want to calculate the density, I mean, the blah, 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 the optical density of any film. So this is just we are going somewhere. That is why we have all these mathematical nuances. Very, very necessary. I want to look at the, 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 the distinction, rather, the relationship between exposure and optical density. If you bring out a film, you expose it to a particular exposure, I mean, you expose it at a particular level, you're going to have a particular OD. You take another sheet of that film because once a film has been exposed, you can't use it again. You take another sheet of a film from the film pack, you do the same exposure, you calculate the optical density, you record it at the, you take another sheet of film, you expose it at maybe 40 milliroentgen or whatever, and blah, blah, blah. You're going to have a particular value of OG and so on and so forth. You continue doing that, you're going to have a graph at the end of the day, which is a characteristic of that film pack. And from there, you can use it to judge so many things. Maybe for this particular film, these are the range of an exposure that we should have in order to have a very, very good radiograph for every patient, every exposure we're going to be using for that particular film. By the end of the day, you're going to have okay, I'm going to have a shape which we all know. It has a sigmoid and shape of here. The particle, vertical axis represent our exposure. I mean our optical density. That's why this one is exposure, which is actually the logarithm of the exposure in log 10. I mean the common logarithm of the exposure. I'm going to continue from this the next lesson in the next class, which I believe we should wrap it up with film processing. I want to entertain our questions. If you have any questions at this point in time, you can ask before we call it a day. Do you have questions? Any question? I presume no question.
No question from this side, sir.
Okay.
Thank you very much, sir. We are grateful.
You're welcome. So I'm going to meet again and communicate with us on the platform before Wednesday or so. Okay. You have a wonderful day ahead. Bye.
And you too, sir.